Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over the elegant ballroom as Sophia stood alone near the refreshment table, watching her former colleagues mingle and celebrate. At 29, she had once been a rising star at the prestigious marketing firm hosting tonight's annual awards ceremony. Now, 6 months after being wrongfully terminated in a corporate restructuring scandal, she felt like a ghost haunting her former life. She had only come tonight because her best friend Maya worked at the firm and had convinced her that attending would show she wasn't hiding in shame. But as Sophia watched former teammates actively avoid eye contact and conversations die when she approached, she regretted the decision. The navy blue dress she had chosen felt appropriate for the occasion, but she couldn't shake the feeling that everyone was whispering about her presence. The wrongful termination lawsuit was still pending, and her former employer had made it clear they considered her persona non grata. Sophia Martinez, isn't it? She turned to see a tall, dark-haired man in an impeccably tailored black suit approaching with champagne glasses. She didn't recognize him, but his confident bearing suggested he was someone important in the business community. Yes, though I'm surprised anyone here remembers my name. He offered her a glass with a slight smile. Actually, I was hoping to speak with you tonight. I'm Alexander Reed. The name meant nothing to Sophia, but something about his demeanor suggested this wasn't a casual introduction. Mr. Reed, I should probably mention that I'm not exactly welcome here tonight. You might want to reconsider being seen talking to me. Alexander's expression grew more serious. Actually, that's precisely why I wanted to meet you. I've been following your case. Before Sophia could respond, she noticed several of her former colleagues approaching, including her ex-supervisor Janet, who had been instrumental in her termination. Sophia, Janet said with false sweetness, how surprising to see you here. I didn't think you'd have the nerve to show your face. Sophia felt her cheeks burn with humiliation, but before she could respond, Alexander stepped closer and spoke quietly near her ear. Act like you're mine. Trust me on this. Without hesitation, Alexander placed his hand gently on Sophia's lower back and addressed Janet with cool professionalism. I don't believe we've been introduced. I'm Alexander Reed, CEO of Reed Dynamics. Sophia has been consulting with my company on several projects. Janet's expression shifted immediately from condescension to surprise, and then poorly concealed interest. Oh, I wasn't aware that Sophia had found new opportunities. The best talent always lands on its feet, Alexander replied smoothly. Sophia's expertise in digital marketing strategy has been invaluable to our recent expansion. Sophia played along, allowing herself to lean slightly into Alexander's presence as he continued to speak about fictional projects and her supposed role in his company's success. We should probably find our table, Alexander said, guiding Sophia away from the increasingly uncomfortable group. The presentation is about to begin. As they walked away, Sophia felt a mixture of gratitude and curiosity. Mr. Reed, I appreciate the rescue, but I have to ask what you're really doing here. I meant what I said about following your case. Reed Dynamics is a corporate consulting firm, and we specialize in helping companies recover from management scandals and workplace discrimination issues. They found seats at a table toward the back of the ballroom, where Alexander continued to explain his interest in her situation. Sophia, what happened to you at Morrison Marketing wasn't just unfair, it was illegal. But more than that, it represents a pattern of behavior that's cost them several talented employees. How do you know about the details of my termination? Because 3 other former Morrison employees have approached my firm about similar experiences. You're not the only one who was pushed out for refusing to participate in questionable billing practices. Sophia felt her world shift as she processed this information. You're saying there are others? I'm saying that your lawsuit might be part of a much larger case involving systematic workplace retaliation, and I'm saying that Reed Dynamics would like to hire you to help us understand Morrison's corporate culture from the inside. The evening's program began, with speeches and awards presentations that Sophia barely heard as she absorbed Alexander's offer. When Morrison Marketing's CEO took the stage to accept an ethics award, both Sophia and Alexander exchanged meaningful glances at the irony. Alexander, why are you willing to take on Morrison Marketing? They're a powerful firm with significant legal resources. Because companies that operate through intimidation and retaliation need to be held accountable, and because talented people like you deserve better than being silenced by fear. As the ceremony continued, Sophia found herself genuinely engaged in conversation with Alexander about business ethics, corporate responsibility, and the challenges of rebuilding a career after workplace trauma. Can I ask you something personal? Sophia said during a quiet moment between presentations. Of course. That thing you did earlier, asking me to act like I belonged with you. That was strategic, wasn't it? Alexander smiled. Partly. But also partly because I could see you were genuinely hurt by how people were treating you, and no one deserves to feel invisible. You could have just introduced yourself and walked away, and I could have, but then I wouldn't have had the chance to offer you a job or get to know someone who clearly has the integrity to stand up for what's right, even when it costs her everything. 6 months later, Sophia sat in her office at Reed Dynamics, reviewing the settlement agreement that had just been reached in the class action lawsuit against Morrison Marketing. Her work documenting patterns of retaliation and discrimination had been instrumental in building the case that ultimately led to significant policy changes and compensation for affected employees. Sophia, Alexander said, stopping by her office, with the final settlement documents, the Morrison case officially closed today. 12 employees received settlements, and the company has agreed to implement new workplace policies. It feels surreal. 6 months ago, I thought my career was over. 6 months ago, you thought you were alone. Now you know that standing up for what's right often means finding other people who share your values. Sophia understood that the evening she had dreaded attending had become the turning point that led not just to professional vindication, but to meaningful work holding corporations accountable for their treatment of employees. Alexander, can I ask you something? That night at the ceremony, when you rescued me from that awful conversation, was that really just about business? It was about recognizing someone who deserved better treatment and making sure she knew she wasn't powerless. Alexander paused, though I'll admit, getting to know you over these months has been the best part of taking on Morrison Marketing. Sophia realized that sometimes the moments when we feel most isolated and vulnerable are exactly when we need to be open to unexpected alliances. Alexander's intervention hadn't just saved her from embarrassment, it had connected her with someone who shared her commitment to workplace integrity and social justice. The man who had whispered, "Act like you're mine," had helped her discover that she belonged not to any person, but to a community of professionals committed to doing business with honor and treating people with dignity.